Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another Hedkicks and Haymakers, baby. I am your host, Bodkins. Man, I know what you're saying. Where's Wit? Wit had some things popping up, so it's just your boy. We're just gonna do a little quick solo show tonight. Talk a little bit of this Vegas card, talk a little bit of this, talk a little bit of that. UFC, is on fire. Obviously, no UFC this past weekend, so can't go back and look at, some analysis and things like that. But nonetheless, let's talk about UFC 300 real quick. I know a lot of people, it seems like a lot of people are already complaining about it. Now, we don't know what the main event is. That's still TBD. It seems like Dana's I think they're trying to figure out who should be on that card, like who should main event it. It sounds like, and it seems like, if you look at the tea leaves here, the tweets back and forth, Mr. Conor McGregor and Mike Chandler. Now, if you remember, it looked like at the beginning of the year, I think it was New Year's Eve, Chandler is on his yacht eating dinner, and he says, "It would be me." I can't do a Scottish accent, sorry. At International Fight Week against Michael Chandler at 185. And he does this little devilish laugh. Now, I thought maybe, it sounded like from what Ariel Helwani was reporting, it's like, hey, both these boys wanted to be on 300. Both of them were ready to go at UFC 300. This is, and this UFC was like, nah, we want to try to stave off on that, hold off on it. We'll do it at International Fight Week. It seems like so. And then it seemed like last week or the last pay-per-view, winner of that might get Izzy. That still looks like it could be DDP versus Izzy, which really to me that's the fight to make. I think you could do that fight at UFC 300 and be headlined, or you could even do the return of Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler. That's the fight that we've been talking about for over a year since they've done the Ultimate Fighter Challenge. So who will it be? We don't know. The thing I want to talk about is all the hate. Like, everybody's just hating on this card. If you really look at this card, even without this main event, it's pretty freaking good, folks. It's pretty damn good. I'm going to pull it up real quick just so I can look at it. Let's go here. UFC 300. Let's see. We got here we go. Oh, I was trying to pull up the app here, UFC 300. So we don't know. So the co-main's going to be Zhang Weili versus Yan Xiaonan. That sounds like a fucking hell of a fight. Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway for the BMF title. I don't really care about the BMF title. We've talked about it before, but that's a fun fight. That's a heck of a fight. Then you got Charles Oliveira versus Arman Sarukian. That's the number one contender fight for the lightweight championship. You're telling me you're not signing up to watch that fight? That's two dogs in the fight. Former lightweight champion. Holly Holm, former bantamweight champion. This woman's been around. She is a pioneer in the bantamweight. Versus Kayla Harrison, making her UFC debut. Kayla Harrison, two-time judo champion. Can she even make the weight to 135? We don't know. And then you look at another number one contender fight. Yuri Prohaska versus Alexander Rakic. Light heavyweight title for the number one contender spot. Then you got Calvin Kattar versus Aljo. Aljamain Sterling making his featherweight debut, the former bantamweight champion. You got Davison Figueiredo versus Cody Garbrandt, former flyweight champion versus a former bantamweight champion. You got Bobby Green and Jim Miller. And you got Bo Nickel and Cody Brundage. Sadiq Youssef and Diego Lopez, like those fights. Jessica Andrade a former number one contender in multiple divisions, fighting Mariano Rodriguez. That sounds like a good fight. I mean, right now, if you look at it, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll count Justin Gaethje as an interim belt. 8, 9 former champions on UFC 300. 9. What other card is bringing you 9 former champions and we're shitting on it? It's not good enough. Look at UFC 200. UFC 200, yeah, it was all right. It wasn't even, and that fell apart, remember? Remember we had to sit through DC versus Anderson Silva on like a 3 days notice because John Jones got hurt or he got pulled, he got arrested. And everybody's shitting on UFC 300? Are you kidding me? It's a pretty damn good card. Without, we don't even know who the main event is. I mean, the biggest fight the UFC could still do is Conor versus Nate Diaz. Will they do it? Nah, probably not. It doesn't seem like it. But I mean, for the casual fans, for the casuals out there, Conor versus Nate would get a lot of people, a lot of eyes on it. And why not? Why not do that? Why not be on that card? Like, you're not really having to pay, the only pay-per-view points. I don't think the BMF title gets pay-per-view points. In fact, I'm pretty sure our guy, Rob said they don't. So you're only having to pay Yan Shannon pay-per-view points. Why not? Why not put Conor on the card? Conor and Chandler or Conor and Nate? Why not? Why not do that card? Why not do that? But people are going to shit on it regardless because that's the internet. That's the world we live in. Everybody's got to bitch about something and complain about something. I don't understand it. I don't understand why. I think the card's great, and we don't even have a main event yet, but sign me up for it. $299. The card before that in Miami it's stacked too to the gills, and it's really good. So the next, and even $298, which is about to happen next Saturday. So next Wednesday, we will preview that card. So when, both those cards, I mean, I don't understand the hate for 300. So Dana I think they're trying to work it out. Seem like Izzy might be coming back. Could be DDP Izzy, could be Chandler and Conor. Could be Conor. I don't think Nate Diaz is coming back. Doesn't seem like there's any negotiations there. In fact, he's signed up to do a boxing match with Jorge Masvidal. So, I mean, does anybody really care about that? Not really. So, we've got a couple comments rolling in here. Daniel Berry, Sports Highlights. Yo, what's up, Daniel? Hope everything's all right. And my guys, Triple B, he says, Vodka Show, what's up? He says, hello, everyone. So yeah, if you guys have any like UFC comments, I don't really have without Wit here, so we probably won't be on too long. But if you have any UFC questions, MMA questions, put them in the chat, and I'll answer them the best of my abilities. Let's take a look at this week's card. How are we in 2024, and we're still in the Apex? Can we just talk about that? Can we just? I mean, the next. You got this card in the Apex, next weekend's card in the Apex. We got another card in the Apex on 3-2, I believe. Another card in the Apex. Tai Tuivasa versus Tybura is in the Apex. How is Rose Namajunas? How's Rose in the Apex too? Rose Namajunas is one of the biggest fighters. One of the biggest stars the UFC has. And they're making her fight in the Apex. She, March 23rd, her and Amanda Hebus. I don't know. That's what, you know what I mean? Like, what are we doing there? Let's get out of this stupid fucking Apex. It was great in 2020. It was great even in 2021. But we are now 3-4 years past all that. And I get, I asked the question and people are like, there's no overhead. There's no this. There's no that. One guy, I was watching an interview. I don't know who it was, but he even said his wife can't come to the Apex cards because there's not enough seats. You have to pretty much be like a millionaire. I got to have pretty much good sized money to get a seat at the Apex. And he said there's such limited seats that they won't even give him tickets to his family. His own wife can't even come watch him fight. Fighters seem to be somewhat like indifferent about it. Like they say they like the fact that they can hear everything. And it's like right next to the hotel and they can just get over there. But I do think if you ask a lot of them, they miss the crowd. I mean, that's what the UFC is all about, folks, is the crowd. You know, hey, there is a scene in the movie Gladiator where he says, if you're lucky enough, you will die to this. I mean, come on. Let's get out of the apex. Let's get the fights are so much bigger and better when there's just such a crowd and the crowd reacts to every hit, every smack, every takedown. The crowd reacts and it's hard. It's getting harder and harder, even for the diehard fans like myself, to sit down on a Saturday night and just be like, we're in the apex, you know? Why not? I don't understand why they just don't like rent out an arena, or like do a residency. Like they know like 40 weeks of the year they're going to be in Vegas, which I'm okay. Put the fights in the same spot every Saturday night. Like, you know, I'm okay with doing them in Vegas, but like go down to UNLV gym or something or somewhere and put it in an arena. You know what I mean? Like it can be a small arena where it's like 900 to 1,000 people. Anything's better than the Apex. I'd rather have 900 people cheer than 10, 20 fans that are sitting at the apex. Fights just don't mean much. I mean, I get why we did it in 2020. I get why we had to watch DC versus Stipe. I mean, Daniel Cormier's last fight, they can wrestle in here. Last fight was in the apex. And here we are back in the apex again. Dana White is Uncle Dana, I mean, what are we doing here? You said a couple, like last year at this time, hey, we're getting too comfortable. We got to get out of the apex. Jay, you're still in the apex. What are we doing? Get out. Get out of the apex. I mean, I say it all the time. And here we are, 2024 first, we're back at the apex. I hate it. I hate it. So Triple B, who's on top right now? The top dog. Well, I mean, this depends on what weight class Triple B's on who you think is who I think is the top dog. Like, you know, and who I think is going to be what. Before we preview this other card tonight, I got to look up the rankings here. So I was reported he was supposed to main event. Sean Brady was supposed to main event Atlantic City against Vincent Luque, and that card is stacking up pretty nicely. But unfortunately, Sean Brady is now pulled out of that fight. I mean, this guy. I mean, it's just like he wins. We don't see him for a while. Gets hurt. Let's look at the rankings here. I'm going to pull up the rank and see who. I mean, that card is supposed to be. When was that card supposed to be? So they got some time. They got March 30th. So you got over a month time, 2 months time. So plenty of time if they get on the horn right now with somebody in the welterweight division to fight Vincent Luque. Let's take a look here. Heavyweight. We need to go featherweight, lightweight, welterweight. So let's look here. Sean Brady was 6. Vincent Luque was 9. So who could Vincent Luque fight? Ian Gary's about to fight next weekend. And then, so you know what? Why not do Jack Della Maddalena versus versus Vincent Luque? That could headline. JDM's headline before, so I kind of like that fight. I think they've already fought, but you could do Gilbert Burns. Maybe they get Burns back there. I mean, surely they're not going to bring Colby Covington. I mean, do they call Colby Covington and do that? Let me look at. I think Gilbert's got a fight lined up. Let me look. Let's see. He does. Actually, I take that back. Burns and Jack Della Maddalena is supposed to fight on March 9th. So they both got a fight booked up. So who could man, I'm looking down here. I mean, I don't think they're going to do Shavkat. They're just kind of saving him. The only person that, I mean, everybody else has got fights booked up other than Colby Covington. Like, I mean, it looks like we're going to get Bilal versus Leon at some point soon. So I forgot, Burns is fighting JDM. I mean, Wonder Boy just fought in December. I guess that gives him enough time, but I think he's already fought Vincent Luque too. I think he did, actually. Let me take a look. So they can't do that fight. I'm going to take a look here. I think they did fight not too long ago. Yep, they did. And it was a decision loss or split decision. And that was in 2019, Luque and Wonder Boy. So they're not gonna run that back. So if they're gonna keep Vincent Luque, remember Luque was supposed to fight in December against Ian Gary. Ian Gary gets sick. Ian Gary gets booked before Vincent. For Vincent Luque, and now they got to figure out what they're going to do with Luque. I guess Colby's it. I mean, if you think about it, you're looking at the welterweight division here. Kevin Holland's about to fight MVP, and I think he's on that in the Miami card. I mean, we haven't heard from or seen Michael Chiesa in a while, but I think he already fought Vincent Luque at one time. He did. He did, actually. I remember that fight because he lost to Vincent Luque. And then Jeff Neal's booked up with Ian Gary. Sean Brady's now hurt. Wonder Boy, he's already fought. Shit. I mean, Burns isn't going to turn around, I don't think. So it's either Kamaru Usman, which I don't think they're going to do. They're not going to. I don't think they would do that. Maybe they do. But, I mean, man, Luque versus Usman? Surely they don't do that. Surely not, right? I don't think they're going to do Shavkat because Shavkat could fight for the title. What does a win over Shavkat do for – if he beats Vincent Luque, what's that do for him? Just another stick in the cap? Maybe they do Shavkat. He's kind of banged up too. He said he had to have surgery after he beat Wonder Boy. Maybe they do that. I don't know. Maybe they just scrap Luque altogether and then get a new main event on that card. I'm not too sure. I'd like to see really Colby fight Shavkat, to be honest, if they're not gonna give Shavkat the title. But just looking at it, what do you do with Vincent Luque? Maybe give him Neil Magny? Neil just fought, but he could. That was maybe he turns that around. Let me see if they fought. I can't remember if Magny and you could do Neil Magny and Vincent Luque. That kind of makes sense. So why not? I guess that's it. If it ain't gonna be Colby Covington, let it be Neil Magny. It'll be interesting. Sean Brady, unfortunately, got hurt, so they'll pull him out of that fight. So let's get to this week's card, and then we'll probably kind of get out of here. We'll be back next week. Let me pull up this week's card here on the. This card's pretty. Again, if it wasn't at the Apex, this card's pretty good. Just kind of. You get the return of Molly Meatball McCann. Remember, Molly was so hot there for a while. Had really was knocking out girls, and then her last 2-3 fights have just been they have not been good. And she's the favorite in this fight. I'm trying to look at Molly McCann here. Yeah, her last 2 fights she's lost. I remember the Erin Blanchfield. That was a bad loss, and even this. Stolorenko fight was a bad one too, but losing to Erin Blanchfield's not, that's a lot of people lose to Erin Blanchfield. But before that, she had won 3 in a row. So I hope the old meatball can get back on track. Charles Johnson's on this card. It's to me, out of the main card, Molly's actually on the prelims. She was a co-main a while back. Remember when they went to London I think last year. Was it last year or the year before? She was the co-main. Yeah, she was actually last year, I think, and she lost. But you're looking at the main event or the main card here. To me, the main events, Nasruddin Imam versus Roman Dolidze. I mean, I don't really care about these guys. I mean, they're two guys trying to build up each other. They're both ranked middleweights, but it's not like it's a number one contender fight. Like that's the thing. It's like, why am I watching? Why is the main event on a fight night? And I get it. Maybe because it's in the Apex, so they're like, hell, we just throw these two guys together. Why am I watching the number 8 in Roman Dolidze versus number 11? Why is that the main event? Why? I don't know. That's a good, that should just be a card on a pay-per-view. I feel like when we watch these fight nights, that could have been the co-main. When we watch these fight nights, it needs to be title eliminator fights. Like guys that are getting ready, like 1 fight away, 2 fights, maybe no more than 1 fight away from the title. Maybe 2 fights. These guys are not. And they're going to be in the main event, a 5-round fight. I mean, am I going to watch? Absolutely. Am I going to be, like I don't really have a dog in this fight. We're looking at Roman here. Let's look at him. Whoop. Roman Dolidze is the dog on this card. He's at plus 140. His last few fights, I mean, he's won 4 out of his last 5. I mean, he beat Jack Hermanson, did lose to Marvin Vettori last March. So it's almost been a year since we saw him. And Nasruddin Aminov, remember, draw to Chris Curtis. That was that clash of heads. Lost to Sean Strickland. Remember, that was like Sean had lost. That's when Sean, that's what's crazy about Sean Strickland. Like, he had just lost to Jared Cannonier, turned around and fought Nasruddin in January 14th of last year and beat him. And then, so before that loss, though, is, Nasruddin had won 3 in a row. So I'll take that back. Yeah, 3 in a row. So we'll see what happens on Saturday night. To me, the more intriguing matchup, the match I really want to watch is actually the co-main. My guy, Money Moncano, is on the card, and I'm looking forward to watching him fight. He is taking on none other than, what if I told you Drew Dober is the knockout king of the lightweight division? I mean, Justin Gaethje's in this division. Dustin Poirier's in this division. Conor McGregor was in this division. I mean, the lightweight division is one of the most storied divisions in all of the UFC. And Drew Dober, who's barely can crack the top 15 at times, I don't even know if Drew Dober's ever been top 10. And he's the KO king. Never fought for the title, never none of it. He's the KO king, Drew Dober, the lightweight division. And he's taking on my guy, Money Moncano. Moncano hasn't fought. I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen Money Moncano. Over a year. Last time we saw him, he beat Brad Riddell by submission in UFC 281. Remember, that was when Izzy got his belt back against that's when Izzy lost his belt to Pereira way back in. Before that, I mean, he's just kind of bounced around, lost to RDA, but lost to Rafael Fiziev. It's kind of a step up. Moncano's trying to, keep his ranking, while Drew Dober is trying to get back in the rankings. Last time we saw Drew Dober, he did beat Glenn, but lost to Matt Friola before that. Did have a win over Bobby Green. and Terrence McKinney. Drew Dober's no slouch, folks. I mean, he's a dog. I mean, he's the KO guy for a lot. 27-12. So, I mean, 15-2, 15 wins by knockout. So, Drew Dober's no slouch here. He's a dude. I believe Moncano is ranked like 15 or something like that. Drew Dober's trying to get back in the rankings. Let me look here. Yeah, Moncano is 13. So Drew Dober's 15. So he wasn't in the rankings last time I looked. But, so you got number 13 versus number 15. I like this fight. This is going to be two guys that stand and bang in Moncano and Drew Dober. I love Moncano, man. He's just, give me money, Drew. Search up that last, you get a chance, folks. Look up Moncano's knockout there at Madison Square Garden. His post fight interview is classic. I mean, he's like, give me money, Joe Rogan. So it's great. I like Money Moncano, baby. Yeah. So that's the most intriguing fight of the night for the week on the weekend to me. So that we'll just kind of wrap up the show here. It's a nice little 30-minute solo podcast. We'll be back next week, folks. We'll have another guest. We'll have Whit'll be back. He had some things going on tonight, but I wanted to put this out. Actually, I take that back. We'll be back next week, but it's 2 weeks until the pay-per-view. Next week, big fight at middleweight, Jack Hermanson versus my guy Joe Pyfer. Love Joe Pyfer. I think he's going to be I think he could be a middleweight champion someday. I really do. I like Jack Hermanson, but Jack's just one trick trade kind of guy where I feel like Joe's well-rounded. So that's not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. We are 2 Saturdays away from UFC 298. So, but we'll be back next week with Whit and me and Whit will break down this card, and then we'll preview that Hermanson Pyfer card. My guy Joe Pyfer card, and then in 2 weeks' time will be UFC 298 preview. So that's it. I'll be back tomorrow night with another great episode of the LTS show with the guys. Johnny, Sam, and Tanner will talk a little bit. I think we're going to maybe finally give out our end of the season NFL awards, and I think we're going to do power rank our top Super Bowls, or we might flip that one more week. So we'll see. Nonetheless, be a friend, tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. You guys know what to do. This is a pretty good little solo pod. We'll catch you later. It's been another great episode of Hedkicks and Haymakers. See y'all. Let me hit that outro.